We have to unlearn that building our portfolios, building case studies is not about supposedly filling a format which someone is expecting. No, it's not. How is it that people can connect with your portfolio when you are telling your story your way? It says if you want to become a cricketer, a batsman, don't settle for becoming a sweeper. Does all this overthinking lead you to finishing the project in your time? If yes, awesome. If no, chuck it. In your testing stage, you are not getting validation of yourself. You're not getting validation that if you are able to get very good ideas. No, you're getting validations on if the idea is going to work or not. Don't look for validation of yourself. Look for validation for the product. Understand whether it's going to work or not. Look for feedback. Monesha says, what's the meant by formula portfolio? Something that you have mentioned in the YouTube. Yeah. What I mean by formula portfolio is there are a lot of people who make their portfolios, even the case studies or whatever the design portfolio, in a very, very formula manner. What is a formula manner? Someone has defined that this is a template which you can use for going and building your portfolio. So what they do is they don't understand the heart of the template and how the other person has done and why it makes sense, but instead just make it according to the formula, thinking that that is what it is supposed to be. Like how you this happens because in schools also we're trained like, oh, you have to write a letter, you're supposed to write a letter in this manner, you're supposed to use this format for letter, you're putting some application for something, you're supposed to use a format, right? So what we keep associating anything valuable is supposed to happen in one particular format. If I don't follow the format, I'll be penalized for it, right? That's how this thinking comes. And we have to unlearn that. We have to unlearn that building our portfolios, building case studies is not about supposedly filling a format which someone is expecting. No, it's not. UX design portfolios, or any design portfolios for that matter, it is supposed to be yourself. How is it that you are telling your story? So then what will I do with existing portfolios, formulas and all that? Straightforward. Look at them, understand why that formula was working for that particular person, what helped them, what didn't help them, and devise a formula for yourself. That's it. That's what works, right? That's exactly what you have to do. For example, let us say I'm making reels, right, for my Instagram. There are hundreds of formulas and portfolios out there for making reels. But what we did, actually, I mean, when I started, I mean, even now, there are a lot of reels which I just wing it, right? So what happened one day, I just went to a nearby, it's like a restaurant. It's like a drive-in restaurant. Me and my team went there. We were like, okay, let's make a reel. And then I was like, some idea came into the mind about why people get rejected in their interviews. And I made a reel about that, right? And we released it and it became a hit. Okay, it got one. Now there was one more reel which was surpassed it, but it like when my account was like some 10,000 followers, I got like some 5,000-6,000 likes for a post. Okay, too much engagement came. We were like shocked, like what really happened? Why is it a hit? Then what happened? One more reel, I was literally wearing this t-shirt only. It also became a big hit. It went up to some 7,500. Then what we did is we went back and we're like, okay, why are these reels going forward? And then we saw that both reels actually accidentally followed a formula. Okay, not someone what some people gave, but we found out that, okay, it starts with like a problem, and then there is a misconception, and then I give a shocking statement, and then leave people in that shock, and then give an example. So in that way, there's a formula which they got out of it, and then like, oh shit, this is really good. So let us start writing scripts in this formula, which is working for me, right? And yes, and good scripts start coming up. We didn't release them yet. Probably they'll work. But anyway, the reason I told this is I've derived a formula for what is working with me from based on what I am experimenting, because that is me. That is what naturally comes out of me. I'm creating my own formula for myself, and I'm going to experiment with it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I'll tweak the formula and I'll see what is working or not. That's it. The same thing with your portfolios also, right? This design thinking project you are doing, you'll be making this into a case study. You will start getting a lot of feedback and you start seeing a lot. Obviously, in my review, you'll get a roast only, but you'll start discussing this with other people. You have some recruiters also. All these people will start giving you feedback, and then you'll understand about yourself more than anything, about the way you write, the way it makes sense to you, and all that. And then you create a formula for yourself. That's it. How is it that I want to showcase myself? Straightforward, right? But on top of it, then what do you do? Like, let's say recently, I mean, now I also started a format where it's like a conversation, right? So for conversation reels, it's not like I'm just the first person in the entire planet coming up with conversation reels, right? There's so many people. So we were going and looking at multiple creators, how they're doing conversation reels, like finance is sharing, right? There's a guy who like, there is like a guy who has a lot of questions, and there's an expert kind of a guy giving answers and all, right? With different characters. So I'm looking at that, right? I'm obviously looking at what that guy is doing and why is it is making sense to him, and what is working, what is not working. But I'm not going to take an exact formula for what's working and just literally copy paste and do it. Then it won't make sense, because I can't fit in that person's formula, because Instagram is not about people are following finance with Sharon because of him, the way he's putting the content, the way he's delivering it, and the way they relate to it. It's not because of just the content alone. The same with me also, right? You're following me on my Instagram, it's because of the way, and it's not like it's totally, I mean, yes, you're also learning from it, but it's because of the way you connect with it. And that happens because I'm a person, right? Exactly the same thing with your portfolio as well. How is it that people can connect with your portfolio when you are telling your story your way, right? Obviously, there are rules. Like a reel probably has like, when it has like under 1 minute, you have to tell. If it has to be engaging, there should be some point. It can't be some random bakwas. And random bakwas also is a different topic. It won't work for my brand. But anyway, but yes, there are some rules. It's not like this is what is expected. Expected in the sense, if you are a UX designer, at least you should be working on some UX projects, and you should have some sense of what UX processes are you following. How did you get to the results? These are like minimum things which you can observe as a pattern from multiple portfolios, right? Which you anyway you'll be learning. But on top of it, yes, it's all yourself, right? Why are you doing it? Why is that you have done it in that manner and the rationale? And what is it that you are showing about yourself? That's it. That's what will get you selected. Very straightforward, very simple. Yeah, trust me, it has worked for a lot of people. It will work. So that's what I mean by formula portfolios. And the reason I'm talking a lot about this is, don't get into the trap. Don't get into the trap of, I will follow this exact portfolio formula and then it will be a hit, right? You can also get into a trap by just working on my workbooks itself. If you just consider my workbooks as textbook material, filling up the boxes and just putting those boxes in your case study, it won't work, right? You have to build a story out of it. You will have to work on it. Right? Of course, now I'm saying it won't work, then dude, you put me in a fix. I don't know what to do. It's not like that. Like, all I'm trying to say is, just don't have the intent. Just have the intent that I'm not going to simply copy paste everything over here. I'm going to build a story and represent it myself. I will use this as a reference to tell my story. That's it. Think of it in this manner. Okay. Because again, one very important thing about your portfolio, especially as freshers, is it's not the solution you bring to the table which will get you hired. It's your skills. It's the way you tell your story and the way you have, because this is a dummy project. This is a dummy problem, right? And you can't have a real problem which you solve, because nobody's going to give you a real problem. Even if they give you, they're going to give you a very, very, very small micro problem, which will not be enough for you to showcase your skills. In fact, that reel which got hit exactly with this t-shirt is that only. It says, if you want to become a cricketer, a batsman, don't settle for becoming a sweeper. At least I'm getting entry into the stadium. No, I'll do sweeping, right? So don't do that. Go and get an opportunity to play in a practice match. It's a dummy match. It's not going to count against the country's batting scores and all. If you score a century, double century over there, nobody's going to count it. But it's a practice match, right? But playing in the practice match is what is going to give you an opportunity to play in a real match. So that's what we're trying to do here. So yes, we are working on dummy projects. It's not about, it's not literally about what exact solution did you bring in, right? What is the story you're telling with the solution you brought in, right? How did you come up with it? Why is it valuable? Why does it make sense? Why do you think it works? That is what will make you valuable. Okay. How do we build good questions? What good information from user? What is this? How to stop overthinking, Rohit Patel.
Yeah. So Anudeep, we have discussed this question in our respective group, and
Okay.
to edit this question in this way that we can get more information
Yeah.
from. Yeah.
How to
So
stop overthinking?
yeah. So
To find it.
take my question, and the first one is my task. Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, there's how to stop overthinking. The way you stop overthinking. Well, just this is a good question. Remaining questions I already kind of answered. So yeah, a lot of people have messaged me also. They've actually messaged me their overthinking also.
Yeah.
Like they've actually messaged, like there's a long, like there's like a newspaper. Like I'm opening, the message is coming. Like, so the yeah. Firstly, overthinking is not wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
You have been told it is wrong because people were, you always, it irritates people whom you're asking for sure, because nobody was like, dude, what the F, like it irritates them. But if you have a right mentor, your mentor will say, it's good that you're thinking in this manner, right? It's just like exercising your brain. But what happens is, after you do your overthinking, then do a summary of your overthinking. Because communication is very important, right? I mean, when you want to communicate that to the other person, then make a summary of it and then get the heart of it and give it, right? That's one thing. The second thing is the way your overthinking will transform into good practical thinking is once you start seeing results. Once you start working on multiple, start seeing results in the sense, you work on a project, you will see something is working, something is not working. You do usability testing. Once you do the testing, it's not usability testing you're doing here, but whatever. You do testing, you get feedback from people. Then you'll see what is working, what is not working. And you do repeated these rounds multiple times. You have conversations. Then you will, your brain will start settling down, thinking that, oh, these are the things which we already have answers to. This is the way of thinking which actually can help me, right? And then it will be solved by itself. You don't have to stop overthinking. You just have to stop disturbing other people with your overthinking. That's it.
Yeah.
So do your overthinking, write it down. And when you're asking someone else, summarize it, get to the heart of it, and then ask. That one answer you'll get probably will help you the entire overthinking which you have done, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not wrong. I mean, there are other forms of, like, the multiple forms of overthinking. Like, okay, this solution is not enough. One more solution. This, it is not wrong. It's absolutely right. That's what I'm asking also. 100 solutions. Come up with 100 solutions. It's fine. It's only going to be a practice, right?
Yeah.
Never settling down on what's working, what's not working, and going for perfectionism is what is something which you will have to settle down with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the next thing to do, perfectionism, because it's perfectionism, you have to solve it with time.
Yeah.
Does all this overthinking lead you to finishing the project in your time? If yes, awesome. If no, chuck it. It's fine. Leave those doubts. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a reality. When reality hits, overthinking stops. Is the summary of this answer. Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
There's one question here. So what kind of prototype we have to create? An area or sketch or visual photos 3D model, how to convert my ideas into a prototype? That I'll answer. Okay. Most people will have this question. You might be building your prototypes, and there's some people who already finished their testing also. Good. So I'll try to answer that as well. So in your prototype, so let me bring this now. Okay. Yeah. So for your prototyping, okay. So what you can do is you can just make rough sketches first of all. Okay. All you have to do is label your rough sketches in a nice manner. so that you'll be able to explain it in your testing stage.
Yeah.
That's the point with what do you say, low fidelity prototyping. Always low fidelity prototyping doesn't have enough details for the prototype itself, so people cannot understand it by looking at the prototype by itself. So you need to label it and give explanations in a better manner so that people can get the full picture. But then why do low fidelity prototyping? That means why do these sketches and stuff? It's because you want to be rough, you want to be quick, right? You don't want to invest a lot of time on building a high fidelity prototype, even before you know or don't know whether it works or not, right? You learn more about it in your bigger projects. But for this project, all I'm asking is a low fidelity prototype. There is no way you'll have to go and build a big 3D model and all that. There are some people who have done 3D and all, but those people are like, for them, 3D was daily life. There are some people, there are some architects over here. And there's some people who know that Blender and all. It's like they can make, like for me, let us say I was making that presentation, right? This, all it took was like I said like some 10 minutes to come up with this whole template, right? And there are some people who ask also, hey, it takes so much time to create those components, auto layout and all. People say that. For me, this is the fastest way of doing it. So that is how I invest my time. So if 3D and all is the fastest way you can do stuff, you can do it. But there are no extra. In fact, if you go and look at my reviews, there is hardly anything which I comment on prototyping. There is no, and I don't do marking any as stuff, but there is no one till now I appreciate that. Wow, what a prototype. Amazing, good 3D models and all you have made. No, never. Everyone asks, when the moment I see a 3D model, I'll say, what, did you waste time on this? They'll say, no, this is my daily thing. Then I say, okay, no problem. Right? Because that is something which is very, very important for this project, for any project for that matter. Not wasting time on your prototypes. Why? Because you should not be attached to it. The more attached to it you are, the lesser you will want to go and change it. Which brings to me the next point about testing, right? Anyway, you can also, what you can do is you can put existing pictures. You can make paper models, origami, if that is fun. And that if it's something which is easy, you can make something like this. Clay models, buy some clay, make some clay models, put it. See, it can be fun also, right? I mean, if it is, these paper and clay don't really cost a lot, but it's some fun. So bring in some people, tell your idea, and just bring some kids, ask them and start making a clay model. Have some fun, right? That's it. But don't spend more than a day or something building your prototypes. It should be like a very quick activity. In a day, like 3 to 4 hours, you sit and finish a prototype, label it, and that's it. Okay. Don't build 3D models. And this is not a physical product design typical exercise where you're expected to build the final product. It will take months of time to actually do that. Okay. We're not getting there. Okay. And which brings to an important point in testing stage. That is, a lot of people will come to a stage where there are people who message me about this also, saying my prototype got thrashed in the testing stage. People left, right, and center thrashed me, said like, I lost my all confidence. They didn't say that, but that internal feeling that am I fit for anything in my life? If one small prototype I can't do, what else can I do in my life, right? But this is absolutely wrong way of taking it. All of you need to understand one thing. I'll share this again, but this line is very important. All of you need to understand that when you go to testing, it's not about you. It's the prototype. Came in a very it's not you, it's me type. The prototype is actually telling you this. It's not you, it's me. So tell yourself that, right? So remember one thing. So whenever we go for testing, what we do is, it's very obvious that whatever work we do, we're attached to it, right? I mean, if you have made a clay model, you're attached to it. I mean, obviously, because you made it. That's artwork which you have created. We are like that from our childhood. If I made this presentation, I'm attached to it because I like it. I've done it. It's an artwork which I've created, right? I mean, don't get confused that we are doing artwork for design. I'm just saying whatever artifact that you have created, you're attached to it because that's you put your artistic skills into it. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Attachment naturally comes. So what we do is, the one gyan which people give is like, be detached. Baba gyan they'll give. Come on, be completely detached. Don't love your designs. Which is true, but the point is it's difficult. It's very difficult to be detached to our designs. So what I'll do is, what I do, what I tell and what I practice is, I've gone one more step deeper as a Baba and found out one better principle coming backwards from philosophy I'm making. So if you, there's an example quoted, okay, in what they say is, there's no way you can detach from something instantly. If you, in order to detach from something, you'll have to attach yourself to something better. Okay, this is what is quoted. And one example which is given is, there is a caterpillar on one leaf. It wants to detach from that leaf. It can't just detach. It has to go from this leaf to another leaf while holding this leaf. And you go there and then you can leave this leaf. Okay, this is philosophy. Doesn't really help you in UX design, but still helps you understand. So what happens is, I've taken this. It's like, how can I apply this in UX mentorship? So very simple. And right now you're attached to your own design, right? Let me tell you something, what you need to be attached to, something better that you need to be attached to. You know what? Better version of your design. Note this down. You're not attached to the claim model which you have done. You're attached to the next version of the claim model which is going to come. Right? What is the advantage of attaching to the next version which is going to come? You want feedback now. Yeah, you want to make it better. Oh, I can imagine that it can be something better. Okay, I'm looking for answers. How can I make it better? How can I make it better? And then you go to a testing stage. I'm telling you, everything will become golden stuff. Like everything, like, it probably doesn't work this way. Probably this is what it is. And then everything will be like golden words. Now I can make a better version of it. Right? And when you're making the better version of it, now you're attached to the next better version of it.
I totally agree to you.
Yeah. Awesome.
I've been doing that actually. And the most critic person of my own designs, at times,
Okay.
like, how can I do better than this? I always keep doing that. So the best version of critic is my own work. I sit and start critiquing it. And then I'm like, okay, I can make better than this. And sometimes when I wonder, like, this is what I came up with. Oh my God, it's like that. It's sometimes unbelievable also at times, like, you have done it,
Yeah, that happens, right? But then the moment you have done it, you have to be attached to the next version again, right? Because the moment the change has done, you're attached to that, then again the same thing happens, right? But anyway, the point is, when you go to your testing stage, you should be welcoming feedback, right? And what happens is, you'll practice understanding how the feedback, you will detach. No, I'll tell you another way. What you'll practice is, when people give feedback, it is very natural for us to understand it that they're attacking us, because that's how people have been attacking us right from our childhood. People don't directly attack us. People attack stuff which we have done. That's why we can't accept feedback. And say, yeah, that dish you cooked, not good. And what happens is, probably they're giving good feedback, but what happens is, right from our childhood, when people wanted to attack us, they were utilizing other things what we did to attack us, right? Yeah, that painting you have done, it's not great, or whatever, right? I mean, some random examples you can all relate, right? So what happened? We got into that mode that, okay, if someone is attacking whatever we have done, giving feedback about it, that means they're attacking us. They're calling us incapable. You didn't get good marks. You failed over here. You are incapable, because that's what we keep hearing, even if they don't say that, right? So, but we have to unlearn that. Now, what happens is, people give us feedback about the product, and probably sometimes they'll attack us also. Very straightforward. We dismiss everything which doesn't make that design better. That's it. We dismiss it. There'll be hundreds of things which will come. If it is not going to improve the usability of it, you just dismiss it. That's it. Doesn't matter. Because all you're doing is data collection, which I'm going to established now once I show that is, in your testing stage, you are not getting validation of yourself. You're not getting validation that if you are able to get very good ideas. No. You're getting validations on if the idea is going to work or not. The validation is not about your skill. Don't consider testing stage as the test, the project. Like if you're in a design college, you'll have this, like there's a jury and you're showcasing your design, and then like you put all your best, because that's how they grade you, right? That's not this testing stage.
And
yeah,
sorry interrupting, but can I share one experience might help you help others as well? So like when I was in school, like design school learning, 2011, 2013, I had a good mentor. Okay. He knew my weakest point. Everybody's weakest point is like, dude, like, how can you come with the best, and how can it be rejected? Like, so he taught me in a very hard way. Okay. I must have cried also. Trust me on this. I felt like, dude, I am good for nothing. So this is where I want to share things where now I feel like, okay, that was a part and parcel, and you need to learn from there. Is that one key is that if you don't face rejection, you will not allow yourself to come up with the better solutions and better designs for it. So he actually for 2 months, literally 2 months, he kept rejecting that same project. I keep keep coming. I used to always question him, like, why you don't reject the other person's project? They come at the fortnight, give you, and they submit and they go. And then you make me work like 2 months on that particular project, and keep rejecting on it. Like, what is the purpose? So he just told me, I'm just teaching you the the hard reality of rejection. Once you get to learn to adapt that rejection, you will never feel that you're not good for nothing, and you will have that better motivation if something doesn't work for you. And you'll start finding solutions to it rather than, going into that coke bubble and like, oh shit, I'm not doing anything. So yeah, maybe
absolutely. As long as we are not, I mean, it's very natural for us to constantly, I mean, unless we of course, in stages where we are looking for what am I going to be good at, what am I going to settle with, or whatever, these kind of things, like am I going to become a UX designer and all, we are always constantly seeking validation of ourselves.
Correct.
Very natural. Right? Am I good or not? Am I going to be a good fit for the industry or not? Right? This is natural. There's no way that we can bypass our thought process on validating ourselves. And therefore, it needs to be practiced. If you can practice validating the work which you have done and making it better, once you actually make it better from the feedback you have got, it gives you self-validation that you're a better designer. 100%. It'll happen.
I agree to it.
Yeah, that's the perspective you need to take about this. So, yeah, I mean, it can happen in a hard way, but at least here we do it in a very enjoyable way, right? Because roast is fun. So, but anyway, we got the point. Thank you, Palak, for sharing that with us, right? So anyway, in your testing stage, what I'm trying to say is, don't look for validation of yourself. Look for validation for the product, right? Understand whether it's going to work or not. Look for feedback. Imagine this manner. Short-term goal, your mentor, which is me, is going to be more impressed looking at how much has changed after your feedback, after your testing, rather than what you have come up with in the first place. Okay? I gave you a hack to perform well in your in your DTP presentations. The hack is that the more I look for how much delta has happened, what points did you get in your testing stage, and how did you act on them? Yes.
So I did my testing process, and I got around 20 feedbacks, around 18 to 20 points, which everything are like valid enough points.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to incorporate all the 20 points, or like how do I go about it?
No, not required. Okay, I'm just coming there. I was sharing the screen for saying that, but it's okay. No problem. I'll cover this now itself. So what happens is naturally, when you do your testing stage, you'll get a lot of feedback. Okay. Anywhere, whenever we receive feedback, whenever we test anything, the decision about what needs to be changed, what doesn't need to be changed, what feedback to be acted upon always lies on the designer. Because the scoping is always in your hand, how much you want to act on. Okay. What needs to be considered and what needs to be discarded is always also there in your hand, because it's you who is doing the project. Okay. So there is no one who, it is never find it fault that, oh, you got 20 pieces of feedback, how come you worked only on 10? Nobody can ask you like this. Even if they're asking you, that means they don't totally understand it. Right? So if you got 20 pieces of feedback, it's you decide. If it's only 2 pieces of feedback which you're going to work on, then it's just 2. Right? What matters is your reasoning about why you prioritize those 2 pieces. Is it your own bias? Is it the time? Right? Are those the most impactful stuff which can be done? Or is there a way you can prove that they didn't have total context giving that feedback? You take the decision. Because the reason it's not about making them happy. And that's one common mistake which happens is so they write the story in this manner in their case study. I showcased my prototype. People are like unhappy. They thrashed. Then I made changes. And then everyone is happy. They said, wonderful changes. Right? It rags to riches story they'll put, because that's what we see in movies, right? I mean, yeah. So no, that's not the point. We're not writing rags to riches stories about how people are unhappy and then, like that Rajnikant, everyone, like in every movie, people bash him. He's a rich guy. Then suddenly he'll become very poor. Everyone is cursing him. Then he'll do all those stuff and then he becomes a legend, right? So yeah, these are good for movies. That's not what your design thinking project is about. Yeah, this is Shivaji's story. But anyway, and every other story, not just Shivaji itself. I love these movies, by the way, but yeah, all I'm trying to say is that's not what you are intending to do over here. What you're intending over here is very straightforward. You're always looking for going and making your existing prototype better by going and testing. All you do is here, you get only one chance. You don't do multiple rounds of testing over here. You do only one thing because you're just learning about it. That's it. We don't do multiple rounds of testing. It's done. That's what is the scope of the project. And we are done when we close and go forward. That's it. Right? So don't think in terms of were they happy, were they not happy? No, that's not the point. You're just collecting data. Right? If you're collecting data, how much will you consider the feedback? How much will you not is all left to you. You're like, oh, if I don't consider Abhirami's point, she will get hurt. What to do? No, doesn't matter. Right? The same thing happens in your when you're working also tomorrow. There's some stakeholder who gives this feedback and then you're like, oh, if I don't act on their feedback, they'll feel bad. Then what will I do? It's fine. As long as you have a reason why you didn't pick it, that's it. It's done. Right? They'll put a hard argument on you. Like, oh, I thought I told this feedback. No, why didn't you act on it? And then give your own reasoning about why you didn't act on it. That's it. Straightforward. Right?
We can put it in our future scope also, right?
Absolutely. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Write it in the future scope. These are the 20 problems, out of which I'm solving only 2 because of these reasons. Remaining 8, yes. If I have time in the future, if this project can be taken forward, this is what I will do. That's it. That's what will happen. Right? That's what happens in future scope. Because no project really ends, right? The design process never ends. There's always an iteration. So we cannot leave our project by saying that there is nothing to be done in the future. I've done everything. Now it's the most happiest ending climax which can have all, which is possibly ever possible for this story. No, it's not possible, right? There's always iteration, right? So note this point that there is always going to be iterations, and therefore I will put that in future scope. It's a very, very important thing for all your projects, not just this project. Yeah.